school of life. He is here talking about stuff, and whatever's going on in his brain, you know it is 100% Bridget!
All right, here I am. It's me talking about something. So yes, 2021 is still rolling forward. Maybe not the best, but it's rolling forward. They're impeaching the president, doing all kinds of craziness in the government, and that's the way it is. I don't know why I'm starting off these things that way, but that's just whatever. So I'm actually going to talk about personal stuff today because, no matter what I believe, whatever I think, in the scheme of things, most likely doesn't matter anyway. But there is a reality to moving forward with life and whatever is going on in the news, to actually not let it bug us, I guess. Like last week I said, to have a quiet, peaceable life. That's what I want in my life. I'm hoping that the people out there want that in their lives too, so just the way I think, I guess, is a little bit different than some people. And but what I think we have to actually do something, the churches have to do something, and I'm going to call it getting the ball rolling. And I'm going to look at it from this perspective, getting the ball rolling like a little tiny snowball. Like right now we're a little tiny snowball, and the church as a whole has been doing great during the pandemic, doing great through the Trump, doing great through basically all presidents up until now. So we're going to see what happens when this president takes office and what happens with the church. So I'm just going to throw that out there. So right now we're like this little tiny snowball, and we really need to be pushed down the hill. And when I say that, we need to be pushed down the hill so that snowball, I don't know if you've seen those old cartoons where like the snowball just keeps going and going and going, and the snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it gets down to the end, it crushes a car or whatnot. They had commercials like that, they had cartoons like that with the big snowballs, and keep picking up the cartoons along the way. Cartoons we watched in my day, yeah. So what happens is that little tiny snowball creates momentum, and it just rolls forward, it just rolls forward, it just rolls forward. And the churches today need to get that movement, that momentum going, and really start to see the congregations get stronger with the Lord and grow new believers. And follow after God, because we are seeing some things. Like I say, you've heard me say this before, some things are coming down the pike and we don't know what they are, and some of us might know what they are, but just to be prepared and ready to go, and so you have to get that momentum going. Not just because it's 2021 momentum, whatever, we just got to get that momentum rolling as a church, as a people, as a group of believers. When I say the church, I'm not saying my church individually, I'm saying as the church, right? So I'm going to give the definition of momentum: the strength or force that something has when it is moving. The strength or force that allows something to continue to grow stronger or faster as time passes. Momentum is not merely the motion, but the power residing in a moving object. It is what keeps the object going. Then what is momentum to us as a church or as a people? Momentum is the power in the movement. So the power in the movement. Joshua 3:4 says this. This is Joshua chapter 3, verses 1 through 4. Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and they set out from Acacia Grove and came to the Jordan, and he and all the children of Israel had lodged there before they crossed over. So they're on the edge of the river. Verse 2, so it was after 3 days that the officers went through the camp, and they commanded the people, saying, when you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God and the priests, the Levites bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, about 2,000 cubits by measure. Do not come near it, that you may know the way by which you must go, for you have not passed this way before. We have not passed this way before. What's going on in our nation right now, what's going on in our world right now, We have not passed this way before. We need to keep our focus on the Ark of the Covenant. We need to keep our focus on God, and we need to keep him before us at a distance that we can actually see what he's doing. Come on, somebody. We've been lodging on the edge of the promise. The Ark of the Covenant is going ahead of us, and it's time for us to go after it. See, Jesus is coming back. I'm just going to be straightforward with that. That's the truth. Go read your Bible, read Revelation, read Daniel, read the prophecies. Jesus is coming back on a white horse, and on his thigh it says King of Kings and Lord of Lords, right? So he's on his way. Things are happening. Things are going that direction. I never thought that I would sit down and actually say things like that, because it's been said. I remember watching the movies in the 70s, God's coming back, Jesus coming, all this stuff, because what their political climate was. In those time frames, those movies that came out in the 70s and the 80s, there's always movies about them. Go get Pure Flakes. There's a ton of them, right? So verse 3 says this, and it's very clear. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the priests, the Levites, bearing it, then you shall set out from your place and go after it. Verse 4 says something interesting. Do not come near it, that you may know the way by which you must go. I'm not saying don't get close to God. And what I'm saying is keep him before you. I think last week I said something like, it's okay to not know what's next as long as you know who the one is that goes before you. You have to know who the one is that goes before you. I look at it this way. Keep God before you, and you will not lose your way. Your path is directed by him. If we go too fast, we will pass him up, and that will lead us to a direction that's totally off and nowhere to go, right? So what's your Jordan, right? So I look at it from this point of view with all the stuff that's going on. We have to build momentum in the church. New believers, we have to get back to the basics of people getting saved, no matter whether it's from the pulpit, whether it's from the gas station. Yeah, you'll hear me say that a million times. No matter where it is, the church has to get back to that simple point, the gospel, the good news of Jesus, and just getting back to that basic point, and people getting to know God in a new way, and really trying to, and then teaching them, discipling them, which is an old term now, but showing them how to teach other people. Come on. That's really, and that builds the momentum. That's the snowball going down the hill. And it's not for church growth, it's for kingdom growth. No matter what church you're in, Jesus believing church, or teaching Jesus, preaching Jesus, and it's all Jesus oriented. Hey, you know what? You're probably in the right place. Doesn't matter what church you go to. If they're preaching Jesus, come on. When I say what's your Jordan, to me, it's, okay, what am I going to do from this point forward? I'm watching what's going on in the world. I'm watching around what's going on. How am I going to conduct myself? I have to conduct myself differently. I have to think differently. I have to realize that there's things going on around me. And I have to know that I'm going to move forward in those things no matter what it looks like and no matter what direction the world goes. I have to stay focused on the Ark of the Covenant. I have to stay focused on God. To some of us, it might be as simple as just getting a job right now. It might be as simple as it might be, I need to get debt free, beginning of the year stuff. I need to lose weight, so on and so forth. But you can even get it down to that point, and you create momentum in the process of going towards those goals, right? So, and then you have to look at if you look at the worldview, where are you in the midst of all this? Most of us will probably not see so much. If you're lower middle class like I am, I'm not rich by any means. I'm probably not going to see much of a difference in the economy. I'm not going to see much of a difference in, the stuff that I have, things like that. Some of those things aren't going to change for me, but for a lot of people, you're going to see a big difference, right? And getting off the system and getting into the momentum and the power in the movement. It has to be God-focused movement. All of this, it has to be a God-focused movement. The power residing in us has to be his power. The territory the Israelites were going into was unfamiliar to them. They have never been that way before. And that's where we're at right now. I truly believe that. We have never been in the situation that we're in right now. We have a president that's been impeached twice, at least in the House. We have, a whole new aspect of things coming out of our government. There's going to be a lot of changes, but I still have to be me, and I still have to be a follower of God, and I'm not going to run around like a crazy person. That's just me personally. If you're going to run around like a crazy person, that's up to you. I'm not telling you to. Right? We're headed into something we've never done before. We need to follow after God to get us to the destination at hand. Follow after God. He'll get us to the destination at hand, which is his returning, rapture, all those things. Look it all up. It's all in there. And see, what did the ark represent? The ark represented God's presence. What was inside the ark was God's word. And there are things God has in store for us that we will never experience until we place our complete confidence in him, our trust in him. We obey him and commit to being fully and completely the church, the people, the individuals, men and women together that he is calling us to be. We have to be those people, and we have to be willing to step out and be those people. If you got stuff on your mind, get it out there. Go talk to people, pray for your pastors, pray for the leaders, do all that stuff. These are the things that we need to do as Christians in this earth right now. I'm going to say this 1,000 times, like I've said other stuff already a million times. We just gotta pray. It's time to get the momentum of this thing going and go beyond what we see and into the faith that moves mountains and changes people. That's the momentum. That's the momentum of the church, of the people, of the gathering of the saints, is changing other people, seeing faith happen, seeing mountains move, and seeing great things occur because of the group that is called the church, the people. Check out the last verse of this chapter. Joshua 3:17. Then the priests who bore the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of the Jordan, and all Israel crossed over on dry ground until all the people had crossed completely over to the Jordan. As we move with power, let us realize how powerful we are through Jesus that lives inside of us. Now, the Jordan at this time frame, when Joshua took the Israelites across the Jordan at this time frame, was at its worst. The waves and the crashing, and it was just the worst time to get across this thing, and they walked across on dry land. Let's walk on dry land. Let's see the change that needs to be seen. Let's be the change that needs to be done. And it's the Jesus that lives inside us, and we focus on that, the Ark of the Covenant. We focus on the Word. We focus what that is. We set it out before us, right? We go with the one who goes before us. We move forward with him, and we see great things happen in our lives. And it starts by going to church and supporting your pastors, supporting your friends, supporting and showing people the gospel of Jesus. That's how it starts, and that's how you move. Come on, somebody. Right on. Right on.